Don't you just love this video title? I am so excited to do this voiceover. All right, so some people are just not fans of Disney World. For us Disney lovers, we've heard more than once, you're going to Disney again? Still, there are some pretty compelling criticisms of Disney World, and today we're peeling back the curtain on why people hate Disney World. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. Okay, Disney is fake, it's too crowded, it's a waste of money. We've heard it all, and honestly, there are some pretty grounded criticisms of the parks out there. Today we're taking a look at why people hate Disney World and how we as Disney lovers can respond. Now, the first reason why a lot of people hate Disney World is they just think it's all fake. Yep, Disney World's created a rose-colored vision of many real-life locations and storylines and experiences, and they do it really well. Walking through Animal Kingdom and admiring the amount of detail in the park's Africa section could lead you to appreciate the amount of work put in by the Disney Imagineers, or lead you to critique that this doesn't look like a real African village. But remember that it's just not trying to be. Disney World is fake. It's far too clean and too perfect to ever be mistaken for the real world, and that's what makes it a comfortable and easy vacation for your entire family, no matter how young or old they are. So it's kind of a pro and a con that this is absolutely a made-up world. It's created based on Walt's vision of having somewhere to go with his daughters that provided entertainment for the kids and parents all in one. So in short, Disney World is meant to be a fairy tale version of things that will appeal to people of all ages. You can both be aware of the reality and enjoy a storybook version of things that are designed to entertain you. Now, speaking of reality, this leads us to our next reason why people hate Disney World. They say it's just a form of escapism. Now, we've used this kind of argument for why some people love Disney. It gives you a bit of an escape from the real world, and that's kind of what a vacation should be, right? But a lot of people think Disney is far too saccharine, like as in a total denial of reality beyond Main Street. And honestly, that's kind of the point. Disney World's built on 43 square miles of land with lots of buffer zones between the Disney parks and the rest of Central Florida. Even the road signs are different than the rest of the state to signify that you are definitely somewhere else. Walt didn't want people to be able to read newspapers in the parks because he wanted them to have a complete escape. Now, some people do use Disney World to escape their problems. It's easy to head to Magic Kingdom and abandon any troubles you might be having in the real world. And if that's you, you just need to be sure the escape doesn't hurt you or your loved ones when you get back to reality. But there is some hate towards people who love Disney World. It's totally 100% A-okay if a Disney vacation or even watching Disney films is not for you, but it's something that others really enjoy. So as long as they're not hurting themselves or others in some way, just let people enjoy things, right? Not everyone who is a Disney person is running away from their problems. We all have our own ways of unwinding, especially when things seem so out of control. But as with any form of escapism, it is really good to keep one foot in reality. All right, the next big criticism we hear of Disney all the time is that it's void of culture. With those idealized versions of Africa and Asia and Animal Kingdom and all of the countries of Epcot's World Showcase comes entertainment and cultural experiences and authentic cuisine, all in quotes. You very likely would not see acrobats while walking around Shanghai or in an African village, or suddenly see a kora player walking past you while you eat an amalgamation of authentic yet approachable curry dishes. But in Disney World, you will, and that can be a great learning opportunity. Yep, Mariachi Cobre plays a lot of songs from Coco rather than songs that you would actually hear that would be more traditional for a mariachi band. But for young kids who've never even heard of a mariachi band before, it can open doors to learning about other cultures. Take these opportunities as a teaching moment. Teach your kids that while the things they're seeing are enjoyable and a peek into another culture, they're not 100% real. It's a tough concept, but an important one. In World Showcase, even the more exotic dishes you might try will likely be toned down for American audiences. Disney wants and needs things to sell, and having 100% authentic food is probably not going to pay the bills en masse. But Disney does put a lot of effort into finding talented entertainers to represent their home countries and spends a lot of time creating menu items that reflect other culture cuisines while still fitting in the realm of safe theme park food. You can always try some dried crabs and unique potato chip flavors from Japan's Mitsukoshi department store if you want something a little bit different. And I think it's important to note that especially now when traveling is difficult or impossible, Epcot gives you a glimpse of life in other parts of the world, even if things are simplified for easy consumption. We often talk about something called the Mickey effect, where if your kids are hesitant to try foods from another culture or learn about experiences in other parts of the world, sometimes you will find that they're more willing to learn about those things, try those things, or experience those things when they're in Disney World. Because if it's okay for Mickey, it must be okay for me. All right, another reason people hate Disney World, because it's so much planning. Now, you can totally go to Disney World with little to no planning in advance. You might still have an amazing trip if you don't make any reservations, but it's a lot more likely that you'll end up disappointed and right now stuck without a way into the theme parks. You have to learn a whole entire language before going to Disney World. Even without things like Fast Pass, which is a way to reserve a spot in line so you don't have to wait as long, and Extra Magic Hours, which means early admission to the parks for hotel guests, you still have to learn all about Park Pass reservations, which are reservations you need to make to actually enter the park, and how to work the virtual queue system for Rise of the Resistance. And you need to stay on top of things as they're changing all the time. Rise of the Resistance just had a big shakeup, and now you can reserve a spot in line from your hotel room when before you had to be in the park. You can get all the specifics on that over on DisneyFoodblog.com, by the way. If all of that is giving you a headache, you're not alone. Even the pros get stressed about hitting all the little details and making sure our trips are planned perfectly. It's all about finding balance. Make those dinner reservations and don't beat yourself up if you slept through your alarm and can't get to a Cinderella's Royal Table reservation now. Right now, things are much more complicated and things are changing week to week. We recommend using a Disney travel agent even if you've been to Disney World many times before. That will cut back hugely on the planning you need to do and everything you need to keep up with that's changing every single day, from park hours to Park Pass reservations to whether or not Fast Pass is coming back, Extra Magic Hours are coming back, blah, 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 all these things that are so different day to day. So if you do want to use a travel agent who can really help you cut through all those questions and figure out what you really need to determine, Small World Vacations is always our pick. They'll let you know of any changes that may affect your vacation, keep an eye on discounts that might help you save some cash, and will just generally help you answer questions about whether or not specific things are right or good for your family. All right, the next big criticism that we hear all the time, it's just for kids. Like I said earlier, Walt's vision for Disneyland and later Disney World was a theme park for both kids and their parents. Yes, many rides and entertainment are geared towards children, but there's a lot for adults to enjoy as well. And honestly, some adults love that kid stuff too. So again, let people enjoy what they like. As long as it's not hurting them or detrimental, just let them be them. Yes, there are princesses and characters all over the place, even in the more adult World Showcase of Epcot. Everywhere you look, things are indeed made for kids. Now, it's not a requirement that everyone who enters the park ride Dumbo or meet Cinderella. There's plenty to do that is not princesses and chicken nuggets. There are behind-the-scenes tours that have nothing to do with castles or anthropomorphic mice. You can visit Epcot's greenhouses, learn about innovations in farming techniques, or learn about the animal care in Animal Kingdom and speak with veterinarians. You can even scuba dive. There are many fine dining restaurants all around Disney World, including one of the only few AAA 5 Diamond restaurants in all of Florida, where, by the way, kids under 10 aren't even allowed. During Epcot's Food and Wine Festival, there are usually special events and dinners geared toward foodies who may have no interest in riding Space Mountain. Yes, most things are made with kids in mind, though you'll find plenty that's geared to adults, and most things are made to be enjoyed together as a family. Think more wholesome than childish. All right, another big criticism of Disney World, why people hate it. It's expensive. Yes it is. A week in Disney World can easily cost thousands, and it's definitely not a vacation that many people take in a spur-of-the-moment decision. It's something that takes planning and budgeting. You are going to be spending an entire mortgage payment or more to take your family on vacation. That's why it's not a trip many people take often, and why the stress level around planning is so high. That's a lot of money to just have an okay time. People think there's no way to afford a Disney vacation or that it just isn't worth the price. And for some people, it might not be. That's why we're here. We're here to help you figure out if it makes sense for you to go. And if you do go, what does it make sense to spend your money on? And remember, there are ways to save on your trip if you do want to go, but are intimidated by the cost. The cost will still be a lot higher than a weekend trip close to home, but you should save where you can. This is another place that Disney travel agent comes in handy, but you too can see if there are any discounts that might help to save money on your trip. You'll find any discounts on that special offers tab on the Disney World website, that magical special offers tab. And keep in mind that many package offers are available for fewer nights than advertised. So often Disney's going to show a deal with a 5-night stay, but you can really book it for just a 2-night stay or any number of days you want. Even if Disney advertises a 5-day, 4-night, 6-day, 5-night, 7-day, 6-night stay for a particular discount, be sure to read that small print. You can usually book that discounted vacation for much fewer nights. So price out some different options. A room-only discount can save you more than a package deal, so crunch those numbers or leave that work to Small World Vacations if you want to use a travel agent. Now, in terms of cost, there are some people who argue it would be more valuable to travel and see the actual world instead of an annual Disney family vacation, or that you could relax on a beach in Mexico for a quarter of the price. And that's true. We are not knocking those vacations. I've been on those vacations. I love those vacations. But they're different from a Disney World trip. It's kind of like deciding between hot chocolate or a glass of champagne. Very different drinks, and one is more for your kids. Disney isn't a budget vacation, but neither is a trip for the whole family to Europe. There are ways to mitigate your spending. We have lots of videos to help with that. And at the end of the day, you'll spend your money on the type of trip you want to take. And guess what? That trip that you want to take is always the best trip. Okay, this one's coming in hot. A lot of people hate Disney World because of the climate and the weather. It's too hot. It's too rainy. They hate going to Florida in the summer. I am with them. And it's kind of always summer in Florida. About half the year, especially when most people can travel, which is in the summer, it's too hot for many. And the near daily afternoon thunderstorms can put a literal damper on your trip. If you're in Disney World in August, you may start to question your sanity for planning a trip then. It might feel like 110 degrees and then you get drenched in a summer storm that does nothing to help the temperature cool down. You're going to encounter weather everywhere you travel. You could plan a beach trip that gets completely rained out too. But yes, Florida is definitely tropical. So if you do decide to go to Florida despite that weather, plan ahead, bring your rain gear, grab some AC when you can, and keep an eye on that weather. If hot and stormy weather is a huge deal breaker, try to travel when the weather is a little more temperate. March and April are great times to visit Florida before it gets too hot. We love to travel in January and February when it's nice and cool. You can wear jeans and a sweatshirt. Every once in a while, there's a cold snap too, and it even gets to be 30 degrees. So it's not always too hot or too rainy. There are other times to travel, but if you do have to travel from the spring break through Columbus Day time frame, which also is hurricane season, by the way, you do want to plan ahead and be prepared. Okay, another criticism of Disney World all the time, why people hate it, it's too big. Yes, people feel overwhelmed by the size and not knowing how to do everything and get everywhere. Disney World is twice the size of Manhattan. You'll be walking close to 10 miles every day unless you're taking things super easy. You're not going to be able to do everything, and it's going to take longer than you expect to get where you need to go. And I gotta tell you, if I were starting to plan a Disney World trip right now and knew nothing about it, I would be completely and utterly overwhelmed, especially with how much has changed in the last year. That's another reason why we're here for you guys. It's our job to make sure you know everything you need to know to go to Disney World, that you're not wasting your money on stuff you don't need or want to do, and that you're making the best choices when it comes to food, hotels, etc. for your family. So hopefully this channel's helpful for you. But if you do feel like Disney World's too big, don't forget that they provide transportation to get you wherever you may need to go on property. And that simplifies the whole getting around thing. So check with your hotel about what transportation is offered. Disney's got buses between most hotels and parks, but you may also be able to take a boat, monorail, or the Skyliner. Just know that all waterways are not necessarily connected. And if you're driving yourself, road signs are clear and relatively direct. If you missed your turn, there's probably going to be another sign telling you where to turn instead to get to Hollywood Studios. But I will say, definitely have a GPS handy, because as many times as I've been in Disney World and driven around, I always use my GPS because it tends to take you more directly where you're going. Those Disney road signs are sometimes set up to redirect traffic to kind of avoid traffic jams or too many people in the wrong part of the Disney World property. So just bring that GPS and that'll give you the most direct route to wherever you're going. Now, one major stress about getting around Disney World is leaving enough time to get from point A to point B. Disney recommends giving yourself 1.5 to 2 hours to get to a dining reservation. Now, that's a conservative estimate, but with reduced capacities on transportation, it's better to be safe than sorry right now. Make sure you plan out your days so you don't end up riding back and forth multiple times during the day and wasting all your time on a Disney bus. We'd hate that too. All right, another big criticism of Disney World: the food isn't good. The perception persists that all you can get is theme park hot dogs and pretzels and churros and funnel cakes. And wait, why is that bad again? Yeah, I get it. We love all that theme park food, but maybe you're not in the mood for deep fried and overly sweet or processed things. Well, Disney does have options. You can find healthy and delicious options all over the parks and resorts, along with options for vegan, gluten-free, and other special diets and allergies. You can find fine dining, fresh seafood, African and Indian-inspired dishes next to all the standard American theme park fare. And believe me, I've been doing this for a long time. When I first started reviewing Disney food over 10 years ago, things were very different than they are now. I've seen a lot of changes in the theme park food offered and in the resort dining that's offered as well. It's much more varied. There are many more options than there used to be, and Disney has started to really understand that food is a destination for their guests more than just something they grab on the way to the parks. And so you're seeing more and more these restaurants and these dining locations really focusing on creating food that is craveable and is a destination in itself. So there's been a really interesting transformation that I've been watching and continue to see happening in Disney World. So I think you'll be surprised if you went to Disney World 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you'll be shocked by what you see there now and what the differences are. And of course, that's another reason why we're here at DFB. We want you to know what's good and what's not, because if you pick the wrong place, you could find yourself with a really bad meal. That's why we review everything, every restaurant, every snack, and we've got the guidebooks to help you not slip up and make sure all the food you eat and spend money on in Disney World is worth it. Find our guidebooks at dfbstore.com and use code YouTube for a discount. All right, the next criticism of Disney World, this one's an interesting one, but we hear it a lot. It's not the same as when I was a kid. Yeah, so things are always changing. That's just a part of Disney World. If you were an 80s Epcot kid like me, you're probably going to be a little flustered if you haven't visited the parks in many years. Things have definitely changed. World of Motion, gone. Universe of Energy, gone. Kitchen Cabaret, gone. Horizons, gone. And yeah, that's upsetting. I mean, those were my rides with my family, with my dad. Those were the things I knew and loved and looked forward to because I was a super nerdy Epcot kid. Characters don't walk around the parks for spontaneous meet and greets anymore. You have to plan everything to a T, and some of your favorite rides may have left the parks decades ago. But don't forget, change can be a good thing. Now, we've often heard the argument that some rides at Disney are tired and boring, so what's better than some super high-tech new ride systems? Disney World is expanding all over the place. In just the past few years, we've gotten new lands in Hollywood Studios, including Galaxy's Edge, Toy Story Land. We've got new hotels, loads of new restaurants, and more exciting things still on the way, like the Tron coaster and Guardians of the Galaxy, and Ratatouille's coming up real soon. Now, things may not be exactly the same as when you were a kid, but the spirit of Disney and the innovation that's always been a part of the parks is still there. You may even find a new favorite thing. So keep an open mind, and I get it, 100%. You wish you could still ride Horizons, ride World of Motion, and ride Mr. Toad. I get it. But try to keep that open mind, come in and try some new things and see if you can create some new magical memories. All right, next thing that folks hate about Disney World, you spend too much time in line. Okay, lines are a part of Disney World. Even us pros wait in lines. There are some things that are just unavoidable, but that doesn't need to ruin your trip. Sometimes you're able to mitigate those lines, so use mobile order for dining. Make sure you have reservations lined up if you want to eat at a sit-down restaurant. Arrive at the parks early when crowds are lower to hit some rides with smaller lines, but inevitably you will end up waiting for something. If you've got kids in tow, plan ahead with some entertainment if they're not so great with standing still and waiting in a line, and avoid rides and dining at peak times, midday and standard meal times like noon for lunch, 6-ish for dinner. That's when things are going to be the most busy at those restaurants. And right around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, that's when those rides are going to have the longest lines. Lines will happen. As Disney pros, we try to avoid them as much as possible because it is not fun to wait in line for half your day, but you can only do so much planning to avoid them. This is one that we kind of agree with Disney haters on. All right, the next criticism we hear about Disney World, you just can't relax. Want to relax on vacation? Disney offers pretty much the opposite, right? You'll be walking miles a day. You'll be getting up early, going to bed late. There's no way around it. A Disney World vacation is not going to be like relaxing on a beach. And if that is absolutely a hard no for you, I get it. I understand. There are ways to take it easy and relax a little bit. You can plan a resort day or head to the spa. You don't need to be in the parks every single day, you guys, and we don't recommend that you are. You'll get tired, and giving yourself a rest day gives you the chance to recharge so you can enjoy the rest of your vacation. But we've heard the criticism too. If you go to Disney World, you need a vacation from your vacation. And a lot of people don't want to miss out on what they're paying so much money for. So that is absolutely a valid criticism. And if you're looking for a vacation where you're just literally laying on a beach all day long for 7 straight days, then Disney World, you're not going to be happy with it unless you're okay just sort of throwing that money away. But if you're going to be all right with a few days in the parks and a few days sort of relaxing at your hotel, and that's a good mix for you and your family, then Disney World can be a good option. And finally, the next reason why people hate Disney World, it's too crowded. Even now with limited capacity, there can still be too many people to feel comfortable. If crowds are a huge deal breaker for you, avoid those holidays and those long weekends. Even with virtual learning, many people are still waiting for official school and work breaks to travel, so the parks are going to be more crowded at those times. No matter when you're at Disney World, go early or go late in the day when people are still waking up or they're putting the kids to bed. If crowds seem too much in one area of the park, leave and come back later. For even lower crowds, book after-hours events if or when they come back. Those are limited ticket events that guarantee lower crowds, and since they're an extra cost, fewer people attend, meaning top rides could have lower waits, like 5 minutes for Flight of Passage. So there are definitely ways to mitigate crowds and avoid crowds if that's just not your jam in Disney World, like me. Crowds are 100% part of Disney, and it's even a reason that we Disney lovers might hate the parks from time to time. So Disney World delivers on exactly what it intends to be, a theme park destination for families that envelops you in a world of storytelling and fantasy. After all, Walt didn't want newspapers sold inside the parks anywhere because he wanted you to completely escape from reality. And a Disney vacation is not for everyone. It's not my goal to convince you that all of these criticisms are incorrect. They're not. They're all true to an extent. But I think that the right way to approach those kinds of hands-down criticisms you may be hearing from other folks is to do your own research, see what you find out. If you think, yeah, there's too many kids there, I'm not going to be happy, or nope, I really need to just lay on a beach for 7 days, that's my vacation, then absolutely do what you need to do to make yourself happy with your trip. But if you are hearing some of these criticisms, hopefully some of the things we've said in this video will help you sort of work through those opinions and see a different side. So I really can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. I know a lot of you are Disney fans through and through, DVC members, annual pass holders. You vacation at Disney World every year, if not more. So let us know in the comments, what are some things you've heard about Disney World, some criticisms that you maybe feel differently about. We'd love to hear from you, and it's always helpful for our other viewers to see what you guys say in the comments because you do have so much experience with Disney World. Thanks for listening, you guys. Thanks for watching. I appreciate your generosity of spirit. I know this is a tough video, and I know a lot of people have very strong opinions about Disney World, and I've said some things in this video that maybe were a little bit controversial, especially regarding my own personal experience. So if that's helpful to you, great. If you disagree, I would love to hear your hopefully respectful disagreements in the comments. Thanks for listening, you guys, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.